For the most part, new motorcycle season is now over. With no big motorcycle shows until Tokyo in March, there will likely be no new releases besides Harley Davidson's traditional mid-winter launch. Aside from that, we've now seen all the machines we're likely to see in showrooms for 2024. That means it's time to get excited about machines released for 2025. Here are some suggestions about new bikes we might see teased in the next few months for a launch next year. They're all based on existing platforms, and most of them would just require a restyling job. It's almost 100% probable that we'll see at least one or two of these bikes come, and we'd like to know which ones you'd be most interested in. This is 5 anticipated motorcycles in 2025. Royal Enfield Scram 450. Just like they did with the 410 series Himalayan, Royal Enfield will almost certainly build a scramblerized version of the new 450 platform. A bit more accessible overall, lower weight, lower seat height, lower price tag, and with flashy paint. A lot of us, even the ADV crowd, don't need a bike that can bash through the whoops of Baja at 100 miles an hour. We just want a lightweight, simple motorcycle that we can ride down bad roads with ease, and a Scram 450 would do that job. The Scram 450 is not just a new model. It's a tribute to Royal Enfield's storied history, redefining classic elegance with modern-day innovation. Its anticipated features blend tradition with cutting-edge technology, promising a riding experience like never before. Speculated to pack a punch with a 450cc engine, the Scram 450 is expected to deliver over 40 brake horsepower, combining Royal Enfield's signature cruising comfort with exhilarating performancel. This blend of power and grace positions it as a potential trendsetter in the motorcycle world. Honda CL1100. Another potential scrambler introduction. Honda has a scrambler version of their 250-300s platform and the 500 platform. It would make sense to have a scrambler based off the 1100 parallel twin. Maybe a sort of retro-look desert raider. Something like the Moto Guzzi V85. Even if tiny Moto Guzzi can field both a modern and retro adventure bike in its lineup, surely Honda can. However, remember, the bigwigs at Big Red have their hearts set on electric motorcycles now. Of course, Honda tuned this very engine for easier handling on the cruiser, with gentler and wider range power and torque for a thrilling and relaxed ride. Of course, the available automatic DCT adds even more chill to the ride. Despite gentler power and easier handling, the ride is still thrilling enough for avid motorcyclists, given the uneven firing interval of the 270-degree crankshaft design, which lends to a growly pulse at idle. Kawasaki Versys X500. It doesn't look like the Versys X300 is ever going to be significantly updated at this point. Kawasaki obviously sees a strong market for the smaller ADV somewhere and is going to sell it there until no longer possible. But there would still be demand for a slightly larger take on this design from Euro and North American customers. A Versys X500 would be a repackaged version of the Ninja 500 or Z500 platform with the parallel twin engine that first debuted in the 2023 edition Eliminator Cruiser. This bike would not be as off-road oriented as the KLR, or even the Versys X300 probably. It would replace the old KLE 500, a model that never came to North America, but was very successful as a sensible ADV tourer in Europe. Husqvarna Norden 401. The Norden 901 is a lovely motorcycle and very capable. But what if you can't afford one, or you don't want or need a bike that large? We have the Svartpilen and Vitpilen 401 models, basically glammed up versions of the KTM 390 Duke. Why not a Norton 401, a restyled take on the KTM 390 Adventure? We think there would be considerable demand for such a model. But the purer AG marketeers do know more about that than we do. The cases, covers, cylinder, and head are new, as is the crankshaft, and the cylinder is lined with a plasma coating instead of Nicosil, a change that's claimed to be cleaner and more sustainable with fewer chemicals involved. The new 4-valve DOHC cylinder head is smaller, reducing weight and shifting the center of gravity downwards, and inside it, there are new camshafts to improve gas flow. The fuel injection is new with revised injectors inside a Del Orto throttle body for a finer mist, re-angled to fire onto the backs of the intake valves and reduce carbon buildup. The result meets the latest Euro 5+ emissions limits. Harley Davidson Pan America 975. When Harley Davidson first announced the Pan America series, the story at that time was, expect a 975 model to accompany the 1250. We've seen some leaks since that hinted the 975 was coming, but we're still waiting. Harley Davidson did develop this motor into the new Sportster platform, and if the bigwigs in Milwaukee see a future in the Pan Am platform, you'd think they'd have to release this bike pretty much ASAP before the world moves on. We'd expect the machine to be pretty similar to the 1250, but perhaps scaled down a bit to compensate for the smaller motor. The RA 965S is a bit more of a mystery. The S should denote a special model, but numbering it 965 instead of 975 is an odd choice. We can't entirely rule out the possibility of a typo, but if it was supposed to say RA 975S, you would figure it would be listed second, as the RA 1250 and RA 1250S are listed later in the sentence. The S model should offer a higher level of performance, with features like Harley Davidson's adaptive ride height. But it does seem unusual for it to have a smaller number.